Episode 7 starts, where Deok-jin and Da-young are talking about the miracle he is getting through. Deok-jin really wants to get younger and regrets getting the privilege to him only. They don't notice Ae-rin at their back, who has listened to all their words. She is so furious and confused to hear all this. She owes an explanation, but they both try to trick her with different stories. She dials Da-young's number to check their lies and finds the phone in Da-young's hands. Finally, Da-young reveals the truth but requests her to obey his reasons and forbids her to tell Da-young in any case. Meanwhile, Da-young enters and Ae-rin really wants to reveal the truth, but she is in a hurry. She is going to meet Jae-hoon because he is going through difficult situations. His daughter is traumatized due to a lot of reporters surrounding her everywhere after she gets lost at the police station. Jae-hoon reveals that his older brother used to spend days and nights doing multiple jobs. He never rested to make both ends meet and continued fighting for him. He was his brother and parents as well. He also broke up with his long-term girlfriend because of him. One day, when he gets selected for the state team, he finds out about his niece, his brother's daughter, Seon, whose mother left her with him. He takes care of her like a mother and a father. His most beloved brother lost his life in an accident and left his daughter and brother all alone. Jae-hoon is all in tears but decides to live for his niece, considering her as his own daughter. Da-young watches him breaking into tears but consoles him. She is a big fan of him for being a super dad. He also hides her from his fans because they can report rubbish about their relationship. On the other hand, Ae-rin spills out the truth in front of Mr. Choi, but he ignores her as she is wasted. She is pissed off and warns Da-young to tell him everything about him Da-young. An emotional speech about how he is trying to be good and make it work. She is convinced that he regrets his lifestyle and has stopped drinking. Deok-jin also helps in convincing her about him. She is so irritated by the fact that she used to hit on him while he was young, Da-young for her. She calls Da-young to spell out the facts because she doesn't want to hide anything from her. The bully and Da-young join Shiha in her punishment for being late to school. He also volunteers to carry her bag but the bully offers him his bag. He is jealous of her without knowing he is caring for her as her father. He also fights him over her left-out pencil case. During the practice, Da-young plays so well that the coach remembers the young Ae-young. He thinks of Ae-rin's words true a little bit by seeing him playing exactly like his old self. Jae-ho is asked to bring her parents to the parent-teacher conference. However, he doesn't want to bring them, so he decides to ask his grandfather for it. He takes Da-young with him and talks to his grandfather. Da-young is in tears to be back home and missing his mother very much. His father also misses his son a lot because he keeps on bragging about his basketball skills in the conversation. He is also happy that his grandson finally decides to play basketball. Da-young advises him to tell his mom about basketball because if she gets to know him through someone else, she'll get hurt. Luckily, on their way home, they find Da-young and Ae-rin bumps into them. He has cold feet to think that Ae-rin has told her about the truth, but she keeps it hidden anyway. However, she informs about Jae-ho's basketball interests, at which she is really proud. She offers his son kimchi fried rice to celebrate. Ae-rin reveals that she was going to tell her first, but when she realizes that Da-young is so happy to have Da-young in her life, she deserves to live a life like this. Also, Da-young is actually changing himself for her, so they should be given a chance. Therefore, she twists the words and brings Jae-ho's basketball practice in between and hides the truth. She advises him to be good to her and guesses that he still loves her. But Ae-young exclaims that he just wanted to do everything she needed back then, and he was not available for his family. Ae-rin also wants to know about the secret of being young. The young teacher is confused about seeing the old pictures of the schools. He sees the young Da-young the same as now. Also, his playing tricks are the same, plus Ae-rin also said the same. Mr. Choi takes Da-young to a nightclub where the creepy teachers are already waiting for them. He organized the parent-teacher conference in an insulting place. He deliberately does this to put her in trouble. He also allows them to behave in whatever words they want. They behave arrogantly and ask her to spill the drinks. She is so uncomfortable, but the matter is Jae-ho's career, so she has to bear it all. However, when they go beyond limits, she ruins the night for them and walks out. She clearly refuses to meet their demands and gives them a shut-up call. The young teacher asks her to apologize for the sake of her son's career. Also, the young's teacher asks for a lot of money because she has ruined the conference. She has to pay, otherwise, her son's career will be a full stop. This is his business with the coaches of other colleges as well. As Da-young's parents are also invited to the meeting, Deok-jin also visits him. His mind is already burning with anger to bear the responsibility of an uninvited child. And now this bar for a parent-teacher conference. He also finds Mr. Choi offensive because Miss OK has been dating him for a long time. Hence, he finds himself in between a lot of women with alcohol. Deok-jin asks him to remain loyal to Miss OK and marry her if he is dating her for real, but he claims to have her as a time-pass relationship. He is not so serious about marriage and kids. After the meeting, he asks Deok-jin to pay the bill, which he refuses to, of course. Also, he gives him a list of accounts to send the money in their accounts. He pays only for 2 cokes which he uses during the meeting and gives the rest to him. Deok-jin threw the receipt and account details on the bar and refused to pay. He is back with hard steps and informs Da-young all about this. He is worried about Di-young because she met him before Deok-jin. He must have done the same with her. He rushes to Jae-ho's home, apparently his, but he finds out that Di-young is not home yet. He knows where she can be, so he watches out the stairs. The stairs have always been her hiding spot. She is drinking to bear her loss for today, but he is here to cheer up her mood. Deok-jin's son is always there for his divorced wife, and so is today. He makes her laugh by saying motivating words to her. She is smiling again, and he is so relieved to see this. He encourages us to make tough decisions sometimes and then stand by them. The next morning, Di-young decides to meet Mr. Choi in the school. The Dae-young's teacher stops the Da-young in the corridor by calling his real name. He is stunned to hear his name from him but keeps his nerves as calm as he can. Mr. Choi mocks about Deok-jin and lets him go, but a suspicious seed has grown. Di-young decides to file a college broker case against him and collect the evidence by recording the conversation. She takes some of the money with her and puts the recorder on. Mr. Choi asks her to bring the rest of the money. Also, he blackmailed her to send extra money to his bank account every month to keep her son on the team. She says sorry for the remaining amount and agrees to all of his terms. She compels him to speak the name of other coaches who are also involved in such a business. She informs Ae-rin about this, and she further informs Da-young about all this. He rushes to the school instantly. While in the meeting, Mr. Choi suspects her phone through her nervous talk and asks her to show him the phone. She resists blocking the phone, but he snatches it. He now knows that she is here to make evidence against him, but he is calm and records some more for fun. However, he deletes it instantly and blackmails Di-young in return. She is worried about his son's future, but there is a more dangerous thing going to happen here. He claims to reveal Da-young's truth, the thing which he suspects the most. Now he is going to reveal it to his wife. Da-young rushes to find both of them, but most rooms are empty. By the time he reaches them, Mr. Choi has already spilled out the facts. Di-young is seen crying and watching him with evil eyes. In the next scene, Di-young calls Da-young, but her phone is in Mr. Choi's hand. In tension, Di-young runs to the physical education room where Da-young is weeping. Curious, he asks them what happened, but Da-young prefers to leave, and Mr. Choi tells him to stay out of adult business. With a pissed mood, he follows Da-young, who tells the same thing to Di-young. When he leaves, she calls her friend, Ae-rin, and schedules a meeting with her. Later, she moves to the restaurant, where she recalls Mr. Choi's story about Di-young. He met him 10 years ago, and seniors were impressed with his extraordinary football skills. At that time, he was cleaner, but seniors were impressed with him, so they thought of giving him a chance. Just then, Di-young got a call from her wife that Siwoo was in a critical situation. Arriving at the hospital, he learned that his son was fighting with asthma. This disease could be cured at a young age. So, he had started labor at a young age and refused to do training for the sake of his son. Di-young was shocked because he was leaving a big opportunity to become an athlete for his son. But Di-young knew family values and was ready to withdraw these chances 1,000 times. Now, she regrets that she never tried to know his difficulties and always considered him wrong, even though he has to lift weights and listen to the scolding of his seniors when he is not at fault. That is heartbreaking for him. Recalling these thoughts, she is weeping and doesn't know that Di-young is watching and sad about her. The following day, all the staff are watching the press conference of Jae-hoon, who is accused of having an illicit child without marriage. Jae-hoon clarifies their doubts by saying she is her brother's daughter who has died, and he has taken responsibility for her and decided not to take retirement for the game. All his fans and Da-young are pleased with his decision. On the other hand, Di-young and Siwoo must tolerate Mr. Choi's Raf, physical teacher, who asks them to clean everything before they leave. Always proving to be a great father, Di-young has decided to clean himself and asks Siwoo to leave. Aside from this, Ya-sung also has seen his father giving bribes to Mr. Choi for enlisting his son. When Ya-sung argues to his father, he slaps his face because he is filling up the deficiencies of his character with money. This thing enrages Ya-sung, who asks his father not to give him money, but his father again slaps him and Di-young sees his father's behavior toward him. So, he brings non-alcoholic beer for Ya-sung to calm his mood, but he wrongly perceives that he takes pity on him. To soothe him, he shares his story of how his father had beaten him after the death of his mother. While listening, he faints and Da-young has no option except to take Deok-jin's place. At night, Jae-hoon gets the picture where Da-young is also there, so he moves here. Ae-rin meets with her, but her boss calls and takes her somewhere. Also, Da-young got Jae-hoon's call and sat with her. She is happy that he hasn't left his profession. On the other hand, Ae-rin is proposed to by her boss, and he does not let her go until she says yes. At this critical time, Deok-jin is proved to be the hero who pretends to be her boyfriend, and he goes from here by knowing there is someone else in her heart. Getting inside the hotel, he notices Mr. Choi with another girl. His mood has pissed off, and he runs to punch him. In the restaurant, Jae-hoon offers to drop her at home, but she tells him to spend time with his friend, and she can go alone. Before she leaves, she is encountered by Cycle, but Jae-hoon saves her by embracing her. In this awkward moment, Jae-hoon remains normal to calm down, and she leaves. At the police station, Mr. Choi was not ashamed of his action, and Mr. Choi was shocked that he had suddenly punched him. In his response, Deok-jin calls Ms. OK and informs her that her boyfriend Mr. Choi is at the police station, and he has punched him for having an affair with another girl. When they were released from the police, Ms. OK was already there. She clarifies Deok-jin's misunderstanding that they are not in a relationship. He is taken aback by this because Mr. Choi has narrated another story. Ms. OK insults him, but he accuses her. Deok-jin again punches him in wrath because he dares to speak ill about her. As a result, they are in jail again. The following day, Ya-sung awakes and is stunned to watch the collaboration between Deok-jin and Da-young. He can't imagine Deok-jin has never beaten him. Apart from this, Mr. Choi is called by the principal because he is accused of taking bribes from his parents. Because the team is getting down day by day and that is unbearable. To prove himself right, he asks the seniors to watch the match where Siwoo and Da-young give a terrific performance. That is the reason they are selected for the team. Further, Da-young texts Deok-jin to meet with her. When she is waiting for him, he doesn't arrive. Instead of his place, Da-young reaches out to discuss the problem, but she considers him a kid and prefers not to talk with him. Also, she asks him not to interfere in the adults' problems because they know how to deal with them very well. Meanwhile, she is pressing her stomach, and Da-young runs to the store, asking her to wait there. When he returns, he brings digestive syrup and medicine for her. To calm her down, he presses her finger, which her husband does. Whenever she was depressed, he massaged her hand and soothed her with his flower conversation. After this, when he reaches home, her mother remembers the moment she became pregnant, and she asked her to take care of the child. By following her command, she has never allowed her to rebuke her. Also, when Shiha complains to her mother about her grandmother takes her daughter's side. Later, Da-young keeps the flower at her mother's grave and jumps inside the thought of his mother. His mother was a teacher and he loved her mother a lot. In the class, her mother feels pain and they find she has a heart problem. But they never shared this problem with their son because they didn't want to hinder his career. With a smile, his mother says goodbye to her because his match date has arrived. When he won the match, his teacher broke the sad news of his mother's death. He was broken by seeing her dead mother, whose operation wasn't successful. Also, he was angry with his father for not telling him the condition about his mother. His father has started drinking, and he leaves his father because he had said Da-young for observation. When he leaves her mother's grave, he looks at his father whom he accompanies. They spend quality time together, and his father considers himself not a good father. At this time, he realized his mistake when he had to tolerate the pressure of society. Then he also started drinking wine, and scolded his son for being strong. But by doing this, he created the distance between them. So, he leaves his father at home and invites him to watch the match where Siwoo will play. Listening to this, he is excited and is sure that he will arrive there to watch the match of his grandson. In the match, Mr. Choi changed the match and told Siwoo and Da-young to sit and others will play the match. When they play a match without them, they are losing and Senior warns him to win at any cost. If he doesn't, then he plans to hire another coach. So, he has no option except to send them to play. And they prove a hero who gives back-to-back goals with extraordinary basketball skills. Da-young's father is also there and is stunned to watch him play because he is playing exactly like his son. In the last, Da-young gives a magnificent goal coolly. In overjoy, Siwoo embraces him, and Da-young remembers a childhood hug when Siwoo does the same thing. After this, he talks to his father in sign language, revealing he is his son. His mother can't speak, so his father and Da-young learn sign language to communicate. Through this, his father has realized his son is Da-young. After the match, he meets with Da-young, whose shoelaces have opened. Young tightens her shoes and says the same thing her husband says. If he tightens up the shoelaces, then it will never open. When she leaves here, she encounters Mr. Choi, who asks for money to keep her son on the list. She refuses to follow his command and moves forward. In her office, she is watching the crimes where professors are exposed for having illicit relationships and blackmailing students. At night, Ae-rin looks at Mr. Choi, who is talking with the bartender, who calls him Bood, but he forbade him not to call him boss. Ae-rin, who is there, pretends to be Mr. Choi's friend and calls boss in front of the bartender. It has been revealed that he is the owner of this bar, and this bar is illegal. On the other hand, Mr. Choi was his friend, and he hopes to be the university coach. Contrary to his expectations, his friends have made another coach, and he has no option except to admit it. Also, Mr. Bang arrives to give a bribe to Mr. Choi, and he pretends to be normal to him. Just then Young calls Mr. Choi and asks him to stop plundering money from the people, but he doesn't take him seriously and compares his life to him. He says he is far better than Young in his income. Young prefers to hang up the calls because he is beyond the stage of understanding. On the other hand, Young texts to parents by becoming Deok-jin. He asks them to meet at the school to discuss Mr. Choi's bribe. If someone doesn't arrive, he will consider Mr. Choi's mate, and action will be taken against him. Also, Ae-rin is ready to support him without any relation, but Deok-jin is not supporting him. Young knows how to convince him, and he makes him think about Ms. OK. If he does this, then Ms. OK can be impressed with him. Hearing this, he is ready to support him. Later, they all reach the exact time and Deok-jin discloses the incident when he is used to the same basketball team as Mr. Choi. Mr. Choi's father also has given money to support his children and Mr. Choi has seen it. So, he has grabbed the same track and spoiled the image of children by taking the bribe. Although they think Mr. Choi is at fault, they can't put their children's future at stake for a few amount. But Da-young convinces them that it's illegal and they can teach him a lesson with her media and his illicit bar. Apart from this, Mr. Choi's friend is investigated by the JBC News and he informs Mr. Choi about it. Also, he gets a call from his bartender that the police have reached his bar. When he reached his bar, he looked at the police and understood who was behind this mess. He prefers to return to his car, where Da-young shares his location and asks him to reach there to confess his crimes. Following the location, he arrived at SH Cook Stadium, where Ya-sung was already there. He throws the purse on the ground to check whether she was recording, but she wasn't, and he shows his true colors because she can't trap him. The bar belongs to his brother and one will believe the bribe taken from him. In addition, he thinks that his parents are more responsible for his evil actions, because they don't have to believe in their children and gives bribe to kids to keep them in the team. However, she has given him a chance to admit his mistake and rectify himself, but he has chosen to be correct. Listening to her, he becomes angry and about to slap her. When Deok-jin gives a heroic entry, Mr. Choi beats him. During the beating, seniors and parents who had seen his actual color appeared on the stage and decided not to give him a chance. Mr. Choi first tries to convince them that they are wrong, but when he believed that there was no use in talking with them, he started cursing them. Also, when he is about to beat Da-young, she uses a classic move and holds him tightly. Even when police arrive, they need clarification about who the culprit is. Their parents take Da-young's side and he is taken to the police station. Mr. Choi is resisting but becomes calm when he looks at Da-young. In flashback, Coach has demanded money from Da-young's father but opposes this idea, and threatened not to force him, otherwise he can go to school management. Later, Da-young looks at the show, where Mr. Choi's crimes are mentioned. Even Deok-jin is also there, and he needs to be able to talk appropriately. After this, Mr. Choi's father goes to meet with his son. He is ashamed of him, who has not let him go outside. At the same time, he remembers when his father scolded him for investing so much money, and he has wasted all of them by becoming a mere coach. In jail, he utters the exact words that are heartbreaking from Mr. Choi. In the school, new coach is introduced and Deok-jin becomes the parents' representative. Also, Ms. OK thanks him for being a good person who greatly motivates her. He even excellently inquires about the coffee here. Surprisingly, Ms. OK says yes to him. Aside from this, Ju-sung apologizes to Shi-woo for bullying him. Actually, Shi-woo has seen his father slapping Ju-sang, and it hurts Ya-sung's pride. Now, he has realized his mistake. Aside from this, Da-young meets with her husband's co-worker. He narrates his husband's misery who has abandoned the job, and she is shocked to listen. In reality, Da-young was expecting his promotion but was not granted. Even his boss humiliated him. Da-young couldn't tolerate the insult and banged his head with his. Also, he has left this job in anger. Listening to this, Da-young becomes depressed because her husband has suffered a lot, but she didn't bother to know about him. In the restaurant, D-young and his father enjoy fast food. His father admits his mistake because Da-young has cared for him a lot when he is in pain. D-young is feeling proud by listening to this. On the way, they met with each other and Shiha also joined them. She reveals about the festival that's going to happen soon. In the class, the teacher inquired about the photography work where Shiha, D-young, and Jae-ho joined. Ya-sung also wants to join but his friends don't allow him, and chance is missed. They move to the photograph where Shiha is hurt, and when D-young is about to touch her, Jae-hoon forbids him to do so. He gives an excuse that he is touching her with a dirty hand, which is inappropriate. D-young is not a kid. He understands that Jae-hoon has grown up and is jealous of him. Still, he can't give him a chance to stay with him. When everyone leaves, Ya-sung arrives and warns him to stay away from Shiha. If he dares to cast an evil eye on her, he will not leave her. D-young is listening to him with anger. He wanted to crush him but could only do it in his imagination. When he goes, he decides to take care of her daughter. After this, both reach the convenience store where she was working. Also, he bought 2 cans of juice. One of them he gives to Shiha. Before Shiha took the juice, Jae-ho took it and started drinking. When she comes out after the work, D-young is there. Like a father, he tells her to come with him. When the house is near, she prefers the dark short way. D-young asks her to move in the safest way, no matter if it's long. Also, he gives her a keychain and Da-young arrives simultaneously. In the office, Da-young and other interns are talking about the senior's decision. They are talking about hiring 3 interns and firing the last one. Only Da-young hasn't work to do, and the other one is already linked with shows. Soon, Da-young also got an offer of a divorce show. Everyone was making fun because she hadn't gotten a valuable show, and she has decided to take the show because it's crucial for this show. On the other hand, Jae-hoon is in Deok-jin's office, where Deok-jin reveals his son doesn't like him. Just then, D-young arrives and prefers not to shake hands. When he gets out of the office, he looks at Da-young, who shares her problem with Ae-rin about the show. To chill her mind, she offers spicy food but she denies it and moves forward. On the way, Jae-hoon meets with her and takes her to his favorite hotel. Her mood has lightened up by eating spicy food, but Jae-hoon's stomach is upset because spicy food always does this. Also, the waitress and Jae-hoon take Da-young's interview. Aside from this, Ae-rin shares her problem with D-young. On the house roof, she looked at the fire cracking she always saw with her husband. To console her mood, D-young has arrived here and shown her pics. Also, they look at fire cracking together. When D-young returns home, he looks at a child whose life is in danger. D-young saves her because the truck is coming to her, but he has become poorly injured. Like this video and let me know in the comments if you want next part.